You would have read a lot about how to avoid single moms on the internet. Most of the time, these are articles from the MRA that tell men not to date or marry single moms. Even I have written articles about why a second marriage to a single mother is a bad idea, unless the death of her husband was really sad and you know her well. We still want to believe that feminism hasn't ruined women in the East as much as it has in the West. All of these articles are based on the divorce cases we've worked on and our knowledge of the law. Today, I'll give you more information straight from the source. Men in the West who married single mothers and what happened to them. It all started when a man asked in a social media conversation if it was a good idea to marry single mothers. When people in the group started talking about their own lives, a lot of information came out about why men shouldn't marry single mothers. In the first comment, a member told the story of a woman who needed money for herself and her difficult child. This man started dating this woman because she had a great body and was good in bed. Soon, though, she started throwing fits, and he realized that she was a single mother who couldn't make enough money to support herself and her child. So when the man was looking for love and a life partner, she only cared about how much money he had. Men often find it hard to get out of these relationships because they can't stop being sexually attracted to the woman and end up in relationships where they are only worth what they have in their bank account. But if we think that men only want a woman for her sexual skills, we will be wrong. This next man was married to a single mom with 2 kids, but he still loved her. The marriage ended in a sad way. He loved the single mom and married her without checking out how good she was in bed. Later, he found out that she was having an affair with another man. After 19 years of marriage, he had to end it. He ended up taking care of her 2 kids, paying her alimony, and giving her money that he had worked hard for. Even though he loved the kids and raised them like they were his own, the woman didn't appreciate what he did. He wanted support for his mind and a lifelong friend, but all he got in return was betrayal and extortion. Since he had to raise her 2 kids, we know that the single mother didn't care as much for her children. This next man just got away from another divorced mom who wanted to win him over with sex. He got lucky by listening to his gut, and 6 years later, he told me what happened. This man's experience with his fiancée shows that people who try to win you over with their sex appeal or by giving you sex in bed should warn us men right away. If a man stays with these kinds of women, he is likely to get into more trouble in his life. As the comments above show, there wasn't much back and forth in the conversation. Most of the time, men tell other men to stay away from single moms at all costs. All countries have laws that favor women, so it's a losing game for the man from the start. Even if these divorced moms make a good salary, they always choose men who make more than them, and if there are any problems, the woman who makes less gets a lot of alimony, which is the man's hard-earned money. Having children adds to the stress of being a single mother. Experts on men's rights from all over the world tell men that single moms will always care for their kids more than dads. It's in their blood, they carried the baby for 10 months, and they've raised those kids since they were babies. You as a man came into her life much later, so it makes sense that she would put her kids first. Also, these kids will always love their mom more than anyone else. Even if the father is biological, the child almost always loves the mother more than the father. This is true even if the father is close to the child. Most of the time, the man in these situations has to deal with an unfair amount of financial stress. A supporter of men's rights said, "Remember that these single moms are trying to fix their already messed up lives by getting married again. You are just one of many options for them." When we see single moms having extramarital affairs even though they are remarried and the new husband is taking care of them and their kids, we know how these women really feel about men. Not only do they not respect their partners, but they also see every other man as a possible choice. Because they can also sleep with their new partner. This wouldn't have been a problem for the men if the cheating wives had given them an immediate divorce and alimony to make up for their bad behavior. But those of us who know about these things know that something like this will never happen. So, when laws that empower women give them a bunch of benefits just for being women, they are avoided at all costs. Now you can see why a law that gives women more power is bad for them. Because no matter what, men talk about how they should stay away from all single mothers today. There is no way out. So, unless the law punishes these women, this will continue to happen. This next story is also about a single mom who acts out in front of her new friends. This hurts everyone the most. MRA say that if you marry a woman in her late 30s or one who has lived a large part of her life and grown used to it, it's not smart to think that she will be able to adjust to new changes. A young woman tries to adjust, but very grown-up people can't change their way of life. Also, when they know that the courts and society will let them throw tantrums no matter what, they expect you to let them. Since these women don't care about you or your family, they often say bad things about you and your family. Another very bad thing is that they think they are great and all-powerful because they are the only ones taking care of the child. Our society already treats single mothers like heroes, even though they chose to be single mothers and would have kept the biological father from seeing their kids. Here are some feminist points of view that were brought up in the conversation that I think should be talked about here. These points came from both men and women, but they teach us a thing or two about how we choose. So, the point is, if a man chooses a partner based on her sexual skills and body features, why can't a woman choose a man based on completely superficial traits? The lesson is more for men than for women, because when we worked with divorced and single men, we found that men were more eager to get married than women. So, men often judge a potential partner based on how she looks and how well she can make love. But it's also not completely wrong. Biologists and psychologists have done a great job of explaining how people choose a partner. Men and women look for different things in a sexual partner than do women. Both men and women look for the best genes in each other so that their children will live longer. Men look at a woman's sexual skills to make sure she can have a healthy baby. A woman, on the other hand, sees a man with a good reputation who can make her feel safe. Remember that men and women never have the same roles in a family, no matter what feminists say. Men still can't have babies or feed them with their breasts. So, their minds also act in different ways. Evolutionary psychologists say that these psychosomatic differences are a result of our evolution, which was mostly decided by nature and not by patriarchy. So, if a man is looking for a sexy woman as a potential mate, he is subconsciously looking for a woman who can give birth to strong and healthy children. In the same way, a woman always wants her life partner to make her feel safer. That's why famous women often marry other famous people who make more money than they do. But men should also realize that in today's world of lowered moral standards, getting great sex isn't enough to give them the emotional support they need from their marriages. So, we also need to figure out how important things like a woman's moral character really are. These two last comments in the conversation are also worth reading. A man was right when he said that the single mother and her kids would insult the man all the time. Men's rights activists in the West, who deal with these kinds of problems a lot more than we do in India, have also warned us about the problem of single mothers. Since mothers always take care of their own kids first, it's usually the father who has to be the bad guy when he needs to discipline his wife's kids. The child can say, "You're not my father, so shut up and do your own thing." A lot of the time, the mothers stand up for their kids and try to show the fathers why they should shut up or how they are not paying attention to what the child needs. When a mother acts like this, the child is almost always made even braver and turns against the man. So, when a man marries a single mother, he is always on the receiving end. Not only because he married her and legally took on all her debts, but also because he gave her everything he owned. Even if we don't talk about the law, he will never be able to become a father to her children as long as he keeps taking care of them. On top of that, when these women have relationships outside of their marriages, it drives men crazy. Men who get married to feel like they have someone to talk to often end up being used as trash.